when you fail at enough things, okay, you start going down a checklist. But as I indicated, I really wanted to go to West Point. That was my dream as a boy, but I don't have the body for it. I'm one of these people. If you say surrender, put your arms up and surrender, I have to say shoot me, because I can't do that. So obviously that's not going to make much of an officer at West Point. I fell into radio quite by accident because my father was stationed in Germany at the time, and I had a classmate whose father was head of AFN Kaiserslautern. He heard me speak, and he said, "You should do this." I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Because you got the voice for it, you can make money at it." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine. Anything that hints at money is wonderful, you know." And at the same time, I had this impulse that I wanted to write. I can't explain why. I was a high school dropout. I hated school. It was an embarrassment to my father. I never attended college at the undergraduate level. My first year of college was when the folks at the Yale Drama School, which is a graduate program, invited me back from San Francisco. I thought they were kidding. I couldn't believe they were serious. Not only were they serious, a friend. It all happened because a friend of mine out there. We're still very close friends. He was one of Samuel Beckett's favorite actors. He sort of became my first champion, based upon a couple of forgettable short plays I wrote. And he said, "You need training, Richard." And I said, "Fine, great, but how do you do all this?" He arranged it. And what came of that was not only was I invited back to Yale without any credentials whatsoever, I mean none, they gave me a fellowship. And I thought, boy, you guys must be hard up to have to bring somebody 3,000 miles who, they pick. They had a famous term. We were a baker's dozen, each group, but that dozen was what was winnowed down from something like 100, 150 applicants. And I thought, my God, not only are you picking somebody, not only am I one of these 13, you've dumped 150 people, 130 people to get to me, and not only that, you're giving me money. Of course I'm coming to Yale. Who wouldn't? And it was a great experience. And some of the things I learned at Yale are still lifelong lessons. Chief among them, and it's on display over here at the Teatro Bellas Artes, chief among them is they made a big point at Yale to tell us that when you write a play, you're not writing verses for the Bible. This is not Holy Writ. If you're going to do that, write poetry. You're in a collaborative art form, and you'd better be prepared to work with other people. Well, I walk in the glades, and I walk along the sides of babbling brooks, and I come up with all of that. Listen to the rhythm of the water. No, how the hell do I know? I'll give you an example. On the flight down here from Paris, I'm sitting 2 rows behind this husband and wife, and he collapsed. He's just collapsed. He turned absolutely white, and boom, they had to lay him out on the seat. But what I was watching was the wife, and she's standing up in the aisle. She's she's a very old lady who wants to look like she's 35 or 40, with all the paint and the makeup and oh my God. And she's carrying on as though nothing is serious. And I'm watching her very attentively, and I kept the way she was joking with the steward, and I'm thinking, in addition to everything else I'm writing a series of monologues, dramatic monologues, which were about 25 or 30 minutes long. And by the time the plane landed, I had another one right there. I was writing down, making notes of just my impressions of this woman. I have no idea what she's like, but the heartlessness of her behavior towards her husband, it was almost as though this is a daily routine with this guy. And the whole thing just became extraordinary to me, and I couldn't believe any wife. I'm married to a doctor, okay? I can't imagine any wife who has the slightest feelings for her husband. She seemed to be just waiting for him to sit up. That's all, paying no attention whatever to him. So I came up with an idea where she's pretending to be attentive to her husband, but then you hear her voice and saying, "Jesus, not again! They're going to go through this again. Why do we have every time we go out you collapse? This kind of idea, and the difference between what the face she's putting on for everyone else and what's going on in her head, and that's just like these things happen." Yes, it's the last stop in a four-country. If it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium, one of those things. I started in Amsterdam. It was such a hectic trip that my wife wouldn't even come with me. I'm serious. No, I'm very serious. And she loves this country as much as I do, and she speaks completely fluent Spanish. So when I come either here or elsewhere to lecture, typically I will insist that Elizabeth translate for me. I just love working with my wife. It's started out in Amsterdam, where I'm working on another project, at least one other project. Went down to the train down to the Thalys down to Brussels, where another production of this play is about to open next month. If your counterparts at the embassy in Brussels finally get off their asses and come through with what they say they're coming through with, we will attend that. But I stopped there specifically in believing that it's not going to happen, but I did want to meet these people and say hello and answer any questions they might have. From there, I went down to Paris, and in Paris, my current big project is a 4-hour Gertrude Stein movie. It's a 4-hour, 2-part script I've written about Gertrude Stein and how she managed to survive through World War II. She and Alice B. Toklas, her companion of all those years, how they managed to survive the war as Jews, lesbians, enemy nationals, and decadent writers, and they're living like 25 miles away from Klaus Barbie. Okay, now how did they do that? I mean, and they weren't underground; they did not hide. So that's what that. And I did a lot of what Orson Welles used to refer to as his best dancing bear routine. When you're meeting producers and directors and people, you say and you wish to God you weren't there, and you're saying in the back of your mind, "Can we go to dinner now?" And my Spanish partner, Esteve Riembo of Mas Barcelona, who now runs the Catalan Cinematique, joined me in Paris, where we were doing. They did a screening of it's a documentary called Máscaras, which is about the development of the production. The Spanish language production as it was developed for the Festival Grec, the 2008 Festival Grec, and really focusing on how Jose Maria developed his role. So we were doing that at the Colegio de España, and from there I came down to here. One day ahead of the strikes, oh my God, the French live on strike. I don't know how they do it, but they manage it. And came down here specifically to meet, mainly to be at the opening. I wanted to be here. I was hoping Elizabeth, my wife, could at least fly in for that, but she was in California with our son. And to meet a lady producer who lives here, who produces in Argentina, who says she wants to do the play in Argentina. Quite honestly, the whole trip, the flight into Amsterdam, all of the running around would have been worth last night.